Well, for more on this story, I'm joined now here on set by our international affairs commentator, Douglas Herbert, who is also following developments for us. Doug, we're hearing this is going to be this possible drawdown has been, of course, flagged for a while now.
Yeah, and listen, Thomas, you are rightfully using a lot of qualifiers in the way you present this story. You said that they are preparing for a reorganization. You didn't say pull out. You said he may be announcing a possible this, and you're right to do that. And the reason you're right to do that is because it's been anything but categorical to this point, whether or not French troops would one day completely pull out. We just heard a reporter there saying that, there are currently 5,100 French troops, and they were actually last year reinforced. 600 reinforcements were sent, so it'd been 4,500. It was ramped up to 5,100. There has been talk. There has been speculation, both in Mali, but also in military circles here in France, that a drawdown of some nature was coming, that Emmanuel Macron, it wasn't so much that he wanted to pull out entirely, but he was losing a little bit of patience. And this latest, what we've seen in Mali since last August, really 2 successive coups led by essentially the same man in 8 months, you could almost say that that was the straw that broke the camel's back. No pun intended here, in the sense that Macron said recently he doesn't want French troops to remain alongside a country where there is no democratic legitimacy. And while he didn't point to the new regime under the new colonel who just was sworn into office and said you lack any democratic legitimacy, there are clearly worries that right now Mali is not going in the direction, politically speaking, that perhaps France would have hoped for earlier on. And also this is a leadership now, a new regime in Mali, which has shown a propensity, that's a big word, has shown sort of a willingness to sometimes perhaps be open to negotiations with Islamic and more hard-line Islamic elements out there. That's something, obviously, France is not very comfortable with. So it's been signaling for a while. It's not happy with the way things are going in Mali. It is not categorically said it wants to pull out all French troops, but clearly, down the line, that is something that Macron would be looking at. My sense today is he's going to do this in a very measured way, and perhaps he's going to do it in a way where he hopes it will leave some influence to bear. This sends a very strong message. First, cutting off military cooperation, now announcing this quote-unquote reorganization. It sends the message that if you want French forces to remain alongside you in some way, shape, or form helping you out, you're going to have to meet us halfway on the political front.
Now, Doug, most public opinion in Mali is actually against the continued presence of these French troops. But the big question must now surely be, can authorities in Mali fight jihadism on their own?
Okay, the short answer to that, the second part of your question is no. Not to be glib. The forces, the whole reason that the French forces are there, the whole reason that you have also a smaller contingent of European forces alongside them there, is to help train up these security forces. It's similar, but on a much different scale, to what we saw with the U.S. forces trying to train the Afghan army and Afghan security forces over many, many years in Afghanistan. And remember, this is a multi-nation operation and training regimen. And it is being done over a swathe of territory that is the size of Europe, spread across essentially a desert. Extremely hostile terrain, difficult terrain among countries that have very politically unstable governments and armies that are not fit and lack equipment and sometimes lack the motivation as well. So the question of where will this lead them if eventually France does start to pull out larger numbers of its troops, in a very tough position. But you're right. Public opinion in Mali, and not just man-on-the-street opinion, but also among the elite leadership, it's been straying away from the position that they want French forces there. They want to take the matters into their own hands. They're just not really ready to do so yet. And there is a sense that France doesn't quite understand Mali, that there's been a certain condescension to Mali, that they have a different culture, and France can't just come in and impose its will with its troops. So there is a paradox there, a sigh of relief perhaps that the French are reducing their influence, and yet at the same time an apprehension of the rise and of influence of these Islamist forces, which the local security forces are not ready to take on yet.